Welcome to Kane's Wrath. I'm your host, Korak, and today's map is Tiberium Stadium. Over in the top left-hand corner of the map, wearing the red robe, sporting the GDI gloves, the heavyweight champion, Bike Rush owns. His opponent for the moment in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, wearing the blue robe, sporting the black hand gloves. Here he is, Master Leaf. Both fighters ready? Begin! The IES is brought to you by Tiberium TV, because watching your harvester get stuck is peak entertainment. Speaking of entertainment, this is a good match for us to jump into. Master Leaf did say he was a little bit rusty going into this. He was a little less practiced than he wanted to be, but he has been able to get some really good shots off, get some really good strategies in, and he should be warmed up by this point in the tournament. He's had a lot of people to fight up against, but going up against Bike Rush, even not entirely on top of your A game, can be a little bit of an issue. We are also getting a rush over here by Master Leaf. Master Leaf getting his Black Hand squads out here and ready to go. There is the second set of Black Hands moving there, and Bike Rush has not scouted this just quite yet. He doesn't have anything really prepared for it for the time being. He could try to get a Pitbull or an APC out there in a moment, and there is a small amount of scouting here for Master Leaf moving forward, hopefully trying to stop anything that might scout it. It looks like Bike Rush's scout went around the top and through the bottom. He's not going to be able to see any of that rush coming until right up until this moment. He's going to see it here in a couple of moments, so he's got a couple of moments to either build some rockets or build something on his way. He's going to see something squirrely happening as the Reckoner moves in and kills the garrison unit. Master Leaf needs to get in there, and he needs to get in there quick in order to make that Reckoner worth the cost. He's sold off 2 operation centers and built a Reckoner for it. That is going to slow him down. Master Leaf, oh boy, you've got to deploy here. There it is. He does finally get a deploy off, and the War Factory might go down just as quickly as it is up. That'll be a super benefit if he can get that, if he can take it out in time, and I don't believe Bike Rush can stop him just yet. Reckoner is almost down, but was able to get the War Factory there in the end. Are they going to go for a power plant? They are going to garrison out as they split up. One Black Hand going in one section, but it doesn't really matter because the APCs are going to be here to mop them up. They were able to kill the War Factory, but they are taking their sweet time doing that, and one Harvester is trying to make the crush on them over in the north as the APCs go for the one in the south. Small little bit of a crush does happen for these Black Hand squads, but there's not too much of them left. Rocket squads and Cabal Confessor squads inside that garrison being able to move their way in. That is why Master Leaf decided to take that out, so he could get a little bit of a threshold on top of Bike. Bike has already got a War Factory back out and ready to go, as well as another Harvester. He's probably developing his secondary, or his first natural expansion. Yep, there he is, followed not too far behind Master Leaf. Sorry, Master Leaf not falling too far behind Bike Rush. Losing only a War Factory will not be enough to sway this battle, but it can make a difference. Hopefully, the cost for Master Leaf will be worth it for that Reckoner rush. Master Leaf going into Bike's in order to keep up the assault, getting a little bit of scouting out beforehand, seeing what is there. He's got a good number of Bikes. He's definitely got enough if he can get a volley on a couple of the Harvesters without getting taken out. I believe maybe 1.5 volleys at this point with this number of Bikes might be enough, if not more, because I know 5 with 2 volleys is enough to kill 1 Harvesters. So we'll get to see what Master Leaf can pull out of his hat here. But Bike is ready for it. He's got a watchtower out, and he's got a couple of Pitbulls there in the background. One Harvester does get targeted. It has already dropped off its load of Tiberium, but it does look like it is going to get taken down. No, it just barely lives there in the end with just barely any HP, and Bike Rush is just absolutely destroying the Bikes of Master Leaf. Master Leaf not able to find the purchases that he wants, but he is going down to the secondary natural expansion, trying to get a thing. If he can get those 2 volleys off and he can get that full Harvester, it might actually be worth it. Harvester is only a half HP, means somebody did not get their shots off. These Bikes are not able to get what they need to, as Bike Rush just focus targets them down left and right. And oh no, he does get it there in the very end. A full load of Tiberium was taken out by Master Leaf at the cost of around 10 Harvesters and no defense inside of Master Leaf's base, because the APCs for Bike Rush are inside and they're here to stay, and they're getting a little bit of revenge. All of those gains, Master Leaf was able to get there. Bike Rush is turning around on him. There is the mine drop. There's the APC going down. There's the Confessor Cabal squads going down, and this assault is finally beginning to slow down just a little bit. There is still a Predator tank here. It's not going to be able to take out the remainder of this Harvester. It's going to decide to focus instead on those units on that Predator tank instead, and Master Leaf's bikes. Speaking of bikes, Master Leaf still has a healthy number of bikes floating around in the north. Both natural expansions are developing rather quite nicely. Master Leaf needs to find some sort of leg up on his opponent. He needs to find some sort of leg up on Bike Rush. You cannot leave Bike Rush alone, and that he is trying his hardest to do that. He's got the garrison, so Bike can't see his bikes coming, so Bike can't see Master Leaf's bikes coming. Orca Strike going in over on Master Leaf's base, probably do a little bit of scouting. Bikes moving their way in, but the APCs are here to push them out just as soon as they move their way in. Rocket Squad's taking a shot at the bikes, and the bikes just not able to find really any purchases for Master Leaf. Master Leaf has built up a good number of rocket squads, but it was not enough in order to stop those orcas, and most importantly, Bike Rush is going to see that all of those rocket squads are developed and that Master Leaf might be making some sort of switch. The bikes are actually moving into Bike Rush's exposed harvesters, getting a couple of shots off here and there, but the hammerheads are here to take them out before any real damage can be dealt. Master Leaf just not able to get a grip on his bikes this time around, just not able to find what he needs. Speaking of finding what he needs, it looks like Bike Rush actually found what he needs, which was this harvester grabbing blue Tiberium, and there's not much that can do to stop it. There are the infantry units as they move their way in, slowly pushing those out, saving a harvester for Master Leaf. Hammerheads and Pitbulls are moving their way into Master Leaf's old main base. There is no SAM turrets here just quite yet. There are a couple of Shredder turrets deal a little bit of damage to these Pitbulls. A little bit of Mantises, a little bit of AA have moved their way in. Master Leaf preparing for all of those Hammerheads. Those Hammerheads are going to be good into his infantry. And I wouldn't be surprised. Yep, there it is. There we have AP ammo, and it looks like rifleman squads inside of those, so they are definitely there to kill units. Master Leaf not paying attention to his harvester as it goes in and gets killed by the armada of Bike Rush. Bike Rush slowly moving his way in the north and moving his troops over in the south. I do not think Master Leaf has the forces in order to fight this, as a harvester goes down in the north and there's not really a whole bunch to contest the units in the north or the units in the south. APCs are just absolutely shredding the units, and Master Leaf throws in the towel, giving the first game, the first round to Bike Rush. Let's see if Master Leaf can turn it around in the next one, Commander. I'll see you there. Here it is, Commander. Hampstead Gardens. Over on the bottom section of the map, hanging onto his red, sticking to his GDI, we still have Bike Rush, and in the north, his opponent staying with the blue and sticking with his black hand, we have Master Leaf. Master Leaf doing a little bit of Reckoner Rush in the last game and mixing it up this time around and doing a little bit of man spam, getting a couple of rocket squads, a couple of Cabal Capacitor squads moving their way in, trying to get something sneaky. The key to this, the linchpin, will be the scout, and there it is. Bike Rush does see it coming. Bike Rush is expecting more sneakiness from Master Leaf, so I'm not sure how much Master Leaf is going to be able to get done with this small man spam rush. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to find any purchases, but who knows? The game could go on, but I believe Bike Rush is already prepared for it. He's probably already got a watchtower up and ready to go in the vulnerable spots that he needs it. Master Leaf splitting up his forces over here in the center and sort of still poking around and sharking for a assault, and we actually do get the operations center scouted by Bike Rush. Bike Rush is going to see that and see that maybe something sneaky is on its way here any moment. It looks like we're getting a little bit of a double rush here almost, but it is going to get scouted by Bike Rush. That's going to give Bike Rush plenty of time to prepare that, because Master Leaf needs to build another operations center, and he needs to build a needs to sell it off, I guess, just as quickly in order to get that Reckoner down here in time. And it looks like he decided not to put any of his Black Hand squads. He didn't sell off his operations center until the very end there. Rocket squads are taking down the Tiberium spike of their opponent. That won't be the worst thing. It looks like the Reckoner might actually just be able to grab a couple of these rocket squads and begin to move their way into one of the little areas of your opponent. If he can cut off that natural expansion, that wouldn't be the worst thing to do, but Bike is going to have some time to prepare for it when he does see that coming. There is a tower up, and it is going to start doing some damage. Reckoner is going to take a couple of shots here and there, and it's going to get deployed in a rather weird spot over here, but it might be enough to start dealing damage to these APCs and maybe delay the expansion of Bike Rush, but it's not looking that way. There are plenty of watchtowers, there are plenty of APCs and rocket squads inside those in order to take those out. This Reckoner just not able to find the purchases that it needs. Master Leaf trying to be a little sneaky here, moving a second Reckoner filled with rocket squads over into the southern section of Master Leaf's base, but of Bike Rush's base. Bike Rush is ready for it, though. Rocket squads do get deployed, and they do kill a single APC. Master Leaf is starting to focus fire down a power plant, but I'm not sure how much that's going to do. This is going to delay Bike Rushers a little bit, but it's also delaying Master Leaf at the same time, and Master Leaf has spent a good chunk of money on these Reckoners. I don't believe he did 2 operation centers. I did see him sell the operation center over in the north early on. Things are beginning to slow down here a little bit. This Reckoner is all but destroyed as Bike Rush micros in and out his units in order to save what units he has deployed. That is one of the disadvantages of the Reckoner if you do that kind of rush, is you've got to consider the fact that once it's down, it's a stationary target. So if it's got no good targets, then it won't do any good. If you're fighting like armor or APCs can just transition their way in and out. Master Leaf moving into his natural expansion, expecting some silliness, so he's got his APCs and his Pitbulls here up and ready to go, looking for Master Leaf to do something sneaky, looking for Master Leaf to subvert his expectation. And instead of subverting expectations, we're going to get man spam, which Master Leaf is going to see. It would be nice to see him go into Purifiers, to Master Leaf go into Purifiers, but he's got to get the tech out, and he's got to recover his resources. His natural expansion is just a little bit behind his opponent. Even though Bike Rush hasn't built a refinery yet, he has sent a single harvester over there, so the refinery's got to be not too far behind. There is the refinery for Bike Rush. Master Leaf hopefully is not too far behind him. If he's got a refiner in the queue, he will be in a good spot. And we actually have a couple of Orcas up and ready to go. It looks like the Air Force is the name of the game for Bike Rush, but they are pushed out by these handful of rocket squads over there. APC's moving in on the other small little bit of man spam as Master Leaf tries to get a little poking and prodding. He does get a couple of the APCs down. He needs to focus some of the ones more in the back, but he's just not able to get them quite in time. They are rather low, but that's all they are. They're still up. Flame Tank gets spotted and destroyed by the Orcas. Master Leaf just cannot catch a break. Bike Rush is just all over the map and just playing for his A game. He wants that. I don't remember if it's a $350 or $250 prize pool. He wants that as quickly as he can get it, and I don't blame him. That is a not bad amount for doing something that you love, for playing a game that you enjoy, and making money for it. The tournaments seem to be going more and more in Kane's Wrath. They seem to be picking up just a little bit more. Orca's moving their way in. They are going to get a little bit of scout on his opponent's base, on Master Leaf's base here in a minute. Take a couple of shots, but that doesn't really matter. For those of you that missed, I believe the Tiberium Spike in the south did get taken out. Master Leaf is trying to finish off the one over here in the northern section of his base, but he's got a limited amount of time to do it. There might just be enough to do it, as the Tiberium Spike does finally go down, giving Master Leaf at least a small advantage in economy. Natural expansion is developing very, very quickly for Master Leaf. It looks like Bike Rush has gone a little bit more into air, a little bit more into units instead of economy, while his opponent has done the opposite. SAM turrets out. SAM turrets are going to take a shot and kill one of the hammerheads. That is going to be a small victory, but it's going to make a little bit of a difference. Orcas moving their way in, killing yet another Flame Tank. These Flame Tanks just cannot catch a break. SAM turrets are out here as Bike Rush continues an assault, moving all these APCs in on Master Leaf's secondary natural expansion. Master Leaf has to contend with 2 different assaults at the same time. Bike Rush is just not going to let up on him and is going to continue to deal damage after damage. These APCs need to go down. This Mantis needs to back his way up if it's possible in order to save it, to prepare for those hammerheads. I'm not sure how much damage they were to take. They did take a good amount of shots from the SAM turrets. APCs are finally destroyed. APCs are finally being pushed out by Master Leaf. Bike Rush deciding to leave his APCs there to do a little bit of damage. We do have a Reclamator hub here for Bike Rush. It means he's progressed throughout the tech just a little bit quicker than his opponent. And we do have the Purifying Flame for the Flame Turrets. Not that it matters, because the Orcas go in every time and take out Flame Tank after Flame Tank. They're just absolute sitting ducks. And speaking of sitting duck, there goes another Flame Tank over there, killed by the Air Forces, killed by the hammerheads of Bike Rush. Master Leaf just cannot catch a break in this one. He cannot keep those flame tanks alive. I almost want to say keeping a Mantis up and around. Speaking of, there's a Mantis there protecting the flame tanks, but it's not going to matter. It's going to be too little, too late. This is only one Mantis versus all of these Hammerheads. The Hammerheads change their target, killing the Mantis and then killing the flame tank. But Master Leaf is not one to let to sit idly by as he moves a couple more forces, waiting for the Mantises over in the north. He probably did hear the Marv is up and ready to go. 2 engineers in. He's expecting to soak up a lot of damage from his opponent. Mantis is poking around for those Hammerheads. He needs to get on top of those just as quickly as they buy. And we're going to get our Marv into all of his infantry here in a moment. There are the reinforcements. Bike Rush positioning them in a really good spot. Probably going to be snipers by the number of it. Hammerheads moving their way in. Mantis is not in a good position. Infantry is not in a good position to concave. There are 2 Mantises there up and ready to go, but I'm not sure how much it's going to be able to do. Marv is not even at half HP, and it has 2 engineers in it, and there's a good chunk of sniper teams and Hammerheads just slowly beginning to transition in their way in and out. Master Leaf has been able to keep his Mantises alive, but it has cost him his army. This infantry is getting killed left and right, and the Hammerheads are beginning to pick them off along with the sniper. Raider Buggy moving its way in. Not sure if it had any EMP or anything like that ready to go. Master Leaf's forces have begun to regroup once again. They are going for quantity definitely over quality, while GDI is definitely more quality over quantity. And Bike Rush is showing that with the fewer units and still able to push his opponent out. Raider Buggy after Raider Buggy gets taken down. Hammerhead's trying to find a position in. Master Leaf moving his Mantis in to protect his infantry. APC's moving in to kill all of the infantry. And this AP ammo is going to be worth its weight in gold. And I'm not sure Master Leaf has the forces here in order to do this. Marv is harvesting the secondary natural expansion while it's continuing this and just keeping itself absolutely alive. These forces keep dying left and right. Master Leaf does keep sending in wave after wave over and over to try and save this lifeline because he's going to need it because he's pretty much out of economy. If he cannot do anything about this, if he cannot push this assault out, if he cannot push this Marv out, he is going to lose the game in the long run. Master Leaf has killed off the lion's share of the APCs. I'm sure there's a couple lying around, and the Marv is still up, but most importantly, Bike Rush has harvested up the majority of the resources of Master Leaf. Master Leaf doing a little bit of base rush into his natural expansion, kind of forcing his way into doing that. APC still taking out all kinds of damage. Rear armor is getting targeted on the Marv, but the Marv does not care. It is doing exactly what it's wanted. It's probably already got its income out of itself. There it is. Master Leaf has thrown in the towel. He's seen that his Tiberium field is all but down, and he's probably run out of gas in the gas tank. Match 3 is on its way. Here we are once again on Tournament Highlands. Master Leaf is still in the red, still hanging on to his GDI, but, Bike Rush holding on to his red, holding on to his GDI. We've got Master Leaf in the top right, getting some, actually a little bit, that's the first time we've been able to see this in this. We've got our stealth team, we've got our shadow teams moving their way in. Master Leaf is not done doing his sneakiness. Speaking of, he did hang on to his blue, and he did switch to Mark of Kane. That is the difference for this match, and so far, the only difference. Shadow team poking around, looking for something that they can snack on. He's gonna have to get some gains with them, although these are not expensive. He's got to trip up Master Leaf some way in order to get a win, because I don't think the traditional strategies are going to work into Master Leaf. Shadow team moving its way in, probably going to go for this Tiberium spike here in a minute, but they are going to get targeted by the rifleman squads. I believe Master Leaf does finally see that there in the end. The scouts for Bike Rush moving their way in. A couple of Awakened squads are making their way in, as actually we have, on top of the Shadow teams, we actually have Saboteurs begin to move their way in. Wonder what they're trying to get up to. I guess the Tiberium Spike over there in the south is undefended, and maybe they're going to try and hope and get this other Tiberium Spike here in a minute. And actually, they are. They're going to be able to line of sight it and probably steal both Tiberium Spikes of their opponent. They aren't going to find that initial purchase. They aren't going to get that initial 500 cash back, but after some time, they are going to get that. That's got to be infuriating to lose those Tiberium spikes. Shadow teams move their way in. I'm not sure if the APCs were able to catch some eyeballs on them. Shadow teams doing that, and Bike Rush getting the sell off on that power plant before Master Leaf can really do anything. Shadow teams are in a precarious situation as they run into the pillbox. Pitbull not doing too much about them, actually looking like it's having some weird shots towards these shadow teams. I'm not sure if that's if they're actually getting hit there or if that's some sort of desync, but there is some funkiness going on with this Pitbull and hitting these shadow teams. I really have no idea what that is. That's probably a common bug that I'm not familiar with, but it is definitely goofy either way. Raider Buggy for Master Leaf moving into the southern section of Bike Rush's base, poking and prodding, looking around. The Wagon Squad's getting targeted and taken down, not able to get any of their EMPs off that I saw. Looks like Bike is the first to start developing his natural expansion. He's already slapped down his new power plant over at the secondary base. Not the worst thing for him, since he's able to get a good sell off on that before Master Leaf was able to get the kill that he wanted. Shadow teams are still poking around, looking for something to snack on, hopefully trying to find some sort of vulnerability in Master Leaf's army. I don't think the two Shadow teams can take out a refinery, so they've decided to go for this power plant. They are deployed. Are they going to be able to get it? There they are. They are finally going to be able to get a kill and get a kill on the rifleman squads that are inside the... But it does not look like Bike Rush is really paying too much mind to it. It's a single power plant. Sure, it's going to be annoying. Sure, it might mess up his build order a little bit. But the question is, how bad is it messing up Master Leaf? Master Leaf still poking and prodding, looking for that other power plant, which is going to be in the north. He has not developed his secondary or his first natural expansion just quite yet. Shadow team's finally finding their target, beginning to land, looking for that power plant to snack on, but Bike is moving into his opponent's base at the same time. They do get the power plant, which is going to be annoying, but not as annoying as losing harvesters to a bunch of these pit bulls. Actually, Bike has decided to back his forces off, not knowing what's inside his base, not knowing that it's only two shadow teams, or maybe just super annoyed trying to kill those shadow teams as quickly as he can, because pit bulls are definitely their kryptonite. At least when they are in the air, they can see them and they can shoot them out of the sky, but it looks like Master Leaf is going to be able to make it just in time. Center of the map has been dominated for the most part by Bike Rush. We're actually getting a little bit of a difference over here from Master Leaf. Master Leaf going into Scorpion tanks, not doing anything with man spam or anything like that. Doing stuff with Shadow Team, doing stuff with Scorpions. Hopefully able to trip up Master Leaf. That would be good. Into APCs, that would be good. Into all of these pit bulls, but that is a lot of pit bulls, and that is a couple of Predator tanks. I don't think that Master Leaf has the Scorpion tanks to fight him head on, and most importantly, Bike Rush is going to see that those Scorpion tanks are on the map. He's moving a couple of forces in the south while his Shadow teams begin to move their way back into the north, looking for yet another target to grab their way on. Hopefully Master Leaf does have a watchtower. There it is. He does have a watchtower prepped and ready to go for this, and a single pit bull taking out at least one of them. And we actually get in our first little real engagement over here. We've got Scorpion tanks into the APCs. Master Leaf has had plenty of time to build up all of these Scorpion tanks and start taking out a couple of the forces, catching Bike Rush actually unawares and in a bad spot for once. This could be his chance to turn things around. This could be his chance to get a victory off on Bike Rush. Scorpion tanks are not done. They begin to move their way in for the crush, killing those rifle infantry squads, and they are now relatively uncontested inside Master Leaf's, or inside Bike Rush's base. Bike Rush is slowly shadowing over time, but it does look like Bike Rush is going to lose a single harvester. This is some of the great best purchases Master Leaf has found so far into Bike Rush. One Predator tank is at half HP. Silo is there, and these Scorpion tanks are being microed very excellently by Master Leaf. Master Leaf doing a very good job on both the micro and macro, moving those shadow teams, tying up a couple of forces in the north, and getting some good kills off with those Scorpion tanks. If he can keep up the gains, he will do himself a favor and might be able to get himself a victory off on Bike Rush. Bike Rush is moving into the old main base of Master Leaf, which is uncontested, which is undefended right now. There is only tip troopers and a couple of Scorpions, but I guess 2 Scorpions are enough to scare off Bike Rush. Bike Rush now trying to force an engagement on top of Master Leaf as Predator tank after Predator tank gets caught in an unfortunate position, running into the concave, running into all of the fire of these Scorpion tanks. These Scorpion tanks just doing a great job for Master Leaf so far. Like I said, these have been the best purchases he's been able to get his hands on, the best engagements that he can do. But if he's not careful, he's going to run into some trouble. Bike Rush is fully transitioned into a bit of man spam and a good chunk of Predator tank, Scorpion tank, scouting or hanging out on the outer rim, doing a little bit of scouting for the rest of the Scorpion tanks. More and more Scorpion tanks have popped their way out. And for those of you who didn't notice, we did get the Dozer upgrade for that that's going to make those Scorpion tanks just a little bit tankier and help their crush just a little bit more. Harvester almost getting caught in a bad position, but that stealth able to save it there, right there in the end, as well as those Scorpion tanks. More Scorpion tanks are beginning to develop, but it's not going to matter if Master Leaf starts losing Harvesters here in a minute, but Bike Rush is not able to find the purchase that he needs, so he continues over into the north, maybe trying to group up with his Predator tanks. No, Predator tanks are more interested in the garrison units as just Bike Rush strolls through his opponent's base. Still really nothing to stop him right now. One Harvester almost getting taken out. Probably going to get taken out there in the end, but at the cost of Bike Rush losing all of his pit bulls. Not the worst for them to do. Not the worst thing for the to happen to them. Not the worst trade, because those pit bulls were going to start issuing diminishing returns. Tiberium Troopers starting to take a couple of pot shots at the Predator tanks, and we're actually getting the tank-on-tank option, and there is the Air Forces for Master Leaf, and it doesn't look like there's a whole bunch of defense other than these couple of buggies. Raider buggies moving their way in, doing a little bit of damage to the Hammerheads, but not enough to write home about. This is a lot of armor by Master Leaf, and Master Leaf is poking, prodding, and positioning for a good fight. He's in a good position to win a fight if he plays his cards right, but dealing with those Hammerheads is going to be a bit of a problem. Raider buggies moving their way in, going to see these Hammerheads coming their way. Hopefully he has some time to put down a SAM turret or something, because they are uncontested, and they probably... There's the SAM turret. There is the AP ammo inside of the Hammerheads. Hammerheads have scouted the T3, and the buggies have begun to move their way in, but it doesn't matter as the Hammerheads get a free kill on one of the Harvesters, maybe two Harvesters, get two Harvesters on their way out. Not bad purchases, and they're able to live, which is the most important part. Master Leaf's forces have been sort of scattered. He's lost his momentum. It looks like Bike Rush has been able to push him on his back foot with this fast-moving Air Force. Getting a couple of hits, getting a couple of dings here and there. Not enough to win him the game, but enough to give him an advantage. Master Leaf has decided to take over the center of the base, building a Reclamator hub, putting down a Sonic Emitter. He is here, and he is here to stay. If Bike Rush can establish a foothold there, he's going to be very hard to de-lodge. But this is a lot of Scorpion tanks, this is a lot of buggies, and it won't be impossible. And actually, we get a really good one-click, destroying the majority of the army of Bike Rush, and Bike Rush might actually be in a little trouble here. Sonic Emitter getting targeted down, Hammerheads moving their way in, and things are looking in Master Leaf's favor. Another Sonic Emitter is up. Reclamator is about halfway there and ready to go, as Hammerhead just absolutely is falling out of the sky. His Raider Bug is doing a great job as another Sonic Emitter gets taken out. A couple of forces over on the left, the Juggernaut taking a couple of really good shots on these Scorpions. Reclamator hub is going to get taken down here in a minute. There it is. There it goes. Master Leaf not able to get his Marv out like he wanted to, but he is be able to pop Sonic Emitter after Sonic Emitter and keeping control somehow of the center of the map. The Sonic Emitters doing a very heavy amount of damage on the army of Master Leaf. If Bike Rush could follow that up with a Marv, that would have been definitely in his favor, but he does have a Mammoth tank here rolling and is probably going to be able to catch a couple of these Scorpions by Master Leaf. Master Leaf, not seeing it coming, is going to take a good 1-2 punch here in a moment. He can't really afford to lose too many units. He does see it coming in time and decides to back his way out. Juggernaut's moving its way to the south with a small armament to accompany it. Reclamator hub is back up and ready going. Probably going to get a Marv here in a second, doing its Marvisting best here in a minute. Bike Rush going for the blue Tiberian of his opponent. Ranked up Raider Buggy moving his way in, doing a little bit of scouting, just seeing where Master Leaf's forces are and doing that where they can. It looks like Bike Rush did lose a Harvester in the north. I'm not quite sure to what. I don't know what was able to grab it in there. That's what it was. Looks like it was two different stealth tanks. Master Leaf pulling out all of the stops, trying everything he possibly can against Bike Rush owns. And against a lesser player, a lot of those strategies probably would have had a more profound effect. But Bike Rush is prepped and he is ready for it. Redeemer Hub is going to be here. That's going to be super good into the Marv, which is there. And it's going to be super good into those Juggernauts. Those Juggernauts, I feel, are going to pose the biggest problem for Master Leaf. Master Leaf needs to have an answer to those. The forces for Bike Rush have dwindled along with his opponent losing all of those units, and Air Force has got to sting, and he's got to lost a good chunk of money. Small skirmishing moving its way into Master Leaf's old main base as the Marv continues to Marvest up the center of the map, giving Bike Rush a bit of a lead probably when it comes to the economy. Redeemer is scouted, nothing inside it except for, it looks like probably some tip troopers, and not much else. No engineer just quite yet. And we do get our first little bit of Air Force by Master Leaf. Master Leaf moved his way in with a couple of stealth bombers looking for a target, able to get a harvester down and a refinery down to half HP. And I believe able to make it out in there in time. Maybe. Nope. Pitbull does not get a kill on it, but they are severely damaged. The armor for Master Leaf is here in the south. Redeemer moving its way to regroup with them, but he's got to do something against the Marv, harvesting up all of these resources. You cannot win if you don't have resources, and we've seen that time and time again. And for some reason, Bike Rush is being cheeky, and he slapped a Mammoth tank inside the southern section of his base, and we did actually get some sort of one-click or some sort of kill on that refinery, slowing down the harvesting of this center section of the map. That will help Master Leaf turning, or Bike Rush returning the favor in full, getting a good shot off on that air facility, taking down those stealth bombers. He does appear to be worried about that. Enlightened troopers with a couple upgrades are here and out and about, while the forces of Bike Rush are still fighting Master Leaf there with that singular Mammoth tank. Master Leaf has developed more and more and is just getting absolutely wedged in here. There are the sniper teams start dealing with the Awakened Squads, and there are plenty of Juggernauts to deal with the armor of his opponent. The Enlightened will be good into those Juggernauts, but only by so much. Master Leaf doing a bit of good scouting with his Raider Buggy, trying to see what his opponent has and where his opponent has it. He also has a Disruptor Tower, and oh no, we do actually get a couple of really good EMP shots on the Redeemer. Redeemer is slightly stealth, but it's not enough to matter as the rear armor gets exposed, and just these couple of units are able to do a good chunk of damage, and light squads are moving their way in, and a massive EMPs by Master Leaf as all of these Juggernauts get absolutely targeted and start getting destroyed left and right. EMP after EMP. They are not relenting. Marv is not able to do anything, but can Master Leaf follow it up? Redeemer is moving its way in, but there are plenty of watchtowers here. EMP does finally in on top of the Juggernauts. They do move their way in. EMP pops its way out there after Juggernaut gets taken down. Venom's starting to do a good chunk of damage as well, and Master Leaf might actually have this in the bag if he can just keep the EMPs up, if he can keep Bike Rush's forces down left and right as Juggernaut after Juggernaut gets taken down, and probably pretty soon here a construction yard. Barracks is going to be up there for the block, and it is going to get destroyed just as quickly as it pops up. These Awakened Squads are just absolutely EMPing everything and not stopping. They're going time and time again. One Juggernaut is left out of the 5 or 6 that were there. Venom moving its way in, finishing off that last Juggernaut. Marv is the only thing here. It's the last line of defense for Bike Rush as Master Leaf moves more and more forces in here. There are a good chunk of watchtowers here, but those watchtowers are only going to be able to do so much to Redeemer. However, the Redeemer is half HP. Redeemer does move its way out. There is no engineer inside the Redeemer as it takes damage over and over to its rear armor. Awakened Squads move their way in, getting killed, getting half their number taken out as they move their way in. Master Leaf having a single harvester moving its way in. He needs to get in there. He needs to start getting some harvesting if he can, because he's got to be hurting on resources, while Master Leaf has got to be sitting pretty, at least when it comes to the resource front. He did lose a good chunk of his forces, but so did Master Leaf, and Master Leaf doesn't have a way to repair this Redeemer, so it's just sort of like holding on to cash. Obelisk of Light is out here, and it's going to start targeting the Marv, forcing the Marv to back its way out slowly but surely. There's a good EMP once again by Master Leaf. Master Leaf is on top of these EMPs, doing a fantastic job over it. The Obelisk is finally getting targeted down, just saving the Marv just barely in time as a Sonic Emitter pops its way up because Bike Rush has moved his base further south, further into Master Leaf's base, and pressuring him more and more as the Sonic Emitter is on his front doorstep, and there's not a whole bunch Master Leaf can do. Once again, Bike Rush has done a very good job of controlling the economy and dealing with the subverting expectations. We do get our first avatar out as it moves its way in. It's going to be good into those APCs, but only by so much. It looks like it takes 3 shots for it to take it out. Sonic Emitter focusing on the construction yard, and Master Leaf decides to throw in the towel, giving yet another win to Bike Rush Owns. That was his first game that he really pulled out all of the stops, and he really seemed to find himself. Let's see if he's warming up in match number 4. Commander, here we are on Tournament Odyssey. Over in the bottom left, we have Master Leaf hanging on to his GDI, keeping with his red, and we're getting another mix up by Master Leaf. Master Leaf in the blue in the top right, going with his Creature Comfort, going with Traveler 59. Scouting, starting slowly but surely for Bike Rush, as Bike Rush already has a couple of Rifleman squads inside of his opponent's base. Buzzer Squad does pop its way down and get the sell-off, but if they're not careful, they are going to get a pillbox inside of their base here any moment. Buzzer Squads do win that fight if they can catch the Rifleman squads unaware like that, like the line of sight right there plays into their advantage because they do that sniper damage as soon as they get in melee damage, just absolutely decimating those melee units. Does look like Master Leaf was the first to get a good scout off of his opponent. Not sure how much is going to matter, maybe in the terms of guessing his build order and what he might go, but so far Bike Rush has been pretty consistent with a couple of variations here and there in his GDI play against Master Leaf. Natural expansion, the drone ship has moved its way into the natural expansion for his opponent. I really want to know what the strategy is, though, for Master Leaf. He's got to find some way to mix it up, or maybe he's trying to go something more traditional, something more regular, because the mix-ups, no matter how complex Master Leaf has tried to make it, have not been enough to trip up Bike Rush. Not an easy feat to do, but not impossible. Bike Rush is human just like everyone else. Even though he is a great player in Kane's Wrath, he can get fatigued, he can get sidetracked, and he can mess up, and you can get victories on him. Bike Rush is definitely trying the best he can in order to not get those losses, because this is not just a best of series, even though there is a best of part to this series. It's a point-based system. Each loss counts against you and each win counts against you. So Bike Rush is going to do everything in his power to not suck up those losses, and he's going to be as ruthless as he possibly can. First two Gunwalkers are out for Master Leaf. So far pretty standard for him when it comes to getting those units out. Bike Rush constantly scouting his opponent, just doing an amazing job, keeping eyes, looking for something that Master Leaf is going to try to do that is sort of this subverting expectation, which he tends to enjoy. He likes the strange strategies, the weird stuff, and he has been able to find good purchases in them. But so far, things have looked traditional for him in this match. At least in this round. Going Gunwalkers, poking and prodding, looking for what they can get, and there is the kind of sort of answer. At least they can meet them. The APCs can meet the Gunwalkers. I guess if they have rocket squads in them, they can do fairly well into it, and it does seem to be Mass Gunwalkers is the name of the game. I would not be surprised if we get to see a transition into Mechapeds here in a moment. Tower has popped its way out, pushing these APCs out, and not really too much. So it looks like everything has started off to a slow start. Master Leaf really isn't trying anything super crazy. He's trying to be cautious, trying to get some wins under his belt for this match, because they are critical to progressing on to the further brackets of the tournament, the semifinals and such. And so that's going to be important. I would be very surprised, though, if we don't see Master Leaf make it in. But, maybe that's why he made the comment that he was not practiced, that it was kind of sprung on him and he just wasn't really practicing a bunch of games. He's been spending a lot of time, from what I understand, working on the particular patches, working on patch R23, I believe it we are now. Quite a significant number of patches. I don't know when he plans to stop. From what I understand, most of the balancing is done, and he planned to just sort of play the game. Shock Troopers are here. We got a couple of portals here. We've got 4 portals as they move their way in, and it looks like the sneakiness that Master Leaf is going for is all of the Shock Troopers. Not a bad play. They are very good into these APCs, and definitely a good little bit of circumventing expectations, and Shock Troopers are continuing to move their way into the natural expansion. Will Bike Rush be able to hold up against this? This will be a lot of troops to deal with. Watchtower is a good answer to it, but how much is it going to be able to do? blink somewhere does happen. I'm not sure quite where. It looks like it happens all the way back to the secondary natural expansion as Bike Rush. Maybe Master Leaf looking for something a little bit more defensive instead of offensive in this one. Shock Trooper moving its way in, probably a misclick or maybe a scout. Cannot tell. There is the low power mode for the watchtowers, but Master Leaf was not quick enough to pop his way on it. He is moving the Shock Troopers around, poking and prodding, looking for some sort of vulnerability to Master Leaf. Did see the Air Forces go in the north and are now moving into the main base of Bike Rush. Bike Rush's APC is not in a great spot. The Shock Troopers able to get a good concave, but it does not matter. There is the blink, and there is the Air Forces for Bike Rush. Bike Rush still sticking to his guns, sticking to his Air Forces, sticking to his APCs, doing very, very good with slowly but surely building up this armor. Gunwalker into APCs, and the Gunwalkers are going to slowly lose over time. Buzzer Squad does get taken down. Scout Troopers do make it out slowly but surely. Orcas get taken down, and as they just barely don't kill one of the harvesters of Master Leaf, Master Leaf just hanging on to that by sheer luck and willpower. It did sound like we've got a Marv up and ready to go somewhere, probably on, I guess, the main base. Yep, there it is. Probably going to sell off over there, and it looks like Bike Rush is doing what he did before, and hopefully Master Leaf will see this coming, because Bike Rush has attempted this over and over where he's just moved into his opponent's base. He's going to be able to do something, and hopefully he will be able to see it coming in time, but I don't think he will. It looks like he's going to catch it too little, too late. Master Leaf is just not on the ball this time around. He's not protecting that secondary natural expansion, and he knows Bike likes to go for it. Although that's easy to say from my casting chair and harder to play, but still it should be something he knows, because that is something Bike has done over and over. APC's doing a good, healthy amount of damage to this Extractor, killing it probably even before the Marv makes its way in. Shock Troopers have popped their way down, getting 2 sets of armor here in a second, probably getting a Predator tank. There it is, the Predator tank goes down. Hammerheads move their way in, start to try to pick off more and more of the Shock Troopers. Shock Troopers being microed very well by Master Leaf, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter, because I don't think he has the firepower to deal with this Marv. They're going to be able to get a couple of shots here, some getting rear armor. There is the plasma missile battery here to deal with the biggest threat to the Shock Troopers, which is this constant amount of Air Force, but they do finally get taken down, and most importantly, Bike Rush is doing a very, very good job of delaying everything Master Leaf is doing, delaying all these efforts in order to start the Marv from harvesting up his resources. Slowly but surely starving Master Leaf once again. Drone ship trying to make its way out as the Shock Troopers move their way around to the south, maybe trying to find a target. APCs still continuing to focus on the drone ship as the drone ship finally goes down there at the end. Master Leaf has fully lost his natural expansion, his secondary natural expansion, and only has a handful of units left. One APC is going to get caught out, but it doesn't matter as Bike Rush just has free reign on the remaining infrastructure of Master Leaf's base. Master Leaf throws in the towel. There's not much he can do there against Bike. Bike was just able to snowball too much, and he was not in the position in order to fight him. He was not prepared for that assault on his secondary natural expansion. I'll see you in round number 5, Commander. Here we are on Six City. This match is sponsored by Overworked Power Plants Anonymous, supporting commanders who thought 4 refineries and 1 power plant was a good idea. Over in the south, we have Bike Rush hanging onto his red, hanging onto his GDI, and Master Leaf switching it up once again, moving to his Zocom, but hanging on to his color, thankfully making it easier on me, hanging on to that blue. Six City offering plenty of opportunities to garrison troops, plenty of opportunities to see your opponent coming. That's probably why we got some Zocom. Maybe Master Leaf's trying to get some Air Forces out because they'll have an easier time navigating this map and hopefully around the buildings without Bike Rush seeing. But the other thing, though, too, that sort of like adds to that as well is that this is a tiny, tiny map. So if Master Leaf does do something sneaky, Bike Rush has a good opportunity to see it coming, especially if it's coming down literal Main Street. First pit bolt for Master Leaf is here, and it is ready to go. It's going to do a little bit of scouting on his opponent, going to do a little bit of damage to these harvesters, but nothing really to write home about. We're probably going to see some forces here to push it out in a minute. Nothing quite yet. Does look like Bike finally was able to get a foxhole inside of Master Leaf's base, and if Master Leaf's not careful, a secondary foxhole is going to be here set up in a minute. So far, nothing real sneaky yet from Master Leaf, which is probably going to be frustrating for him because having these scouts in his base are going to make it very, very hard to catch Bike Rush unawares. Natural expansion for both players is slowly but surely developing over time. I'm really, really curious what the thought process is for Master Leaf. Like, why Zocom? Is it just the maneuverability that he thinks he might be able to get something done? But then again, with the map size, like I said, it's gonna be pretty difficult to pull one over on Bike on this particular map. Not impossible, but definitely more of a pain in the butt than it would be. Pitbull making its way back to Master Leaf's main base, hopefully going to go for this foxhole that's just absolutely shredding his power plant slowly but surely. Does look like we got a body block by the armory. That's why Master Leaf did not care. Instead of spending resources to repair, he's going to pop down something that he already had. Probably working on, I'm going to guess, composite armor or the Tiberium suit upgrades, but we'll see here in a second. Did get a whole bunch of deployment of rifleman squads and missile squads over here, getting a little bit of infantry for Master Leaf, a couple of grenade squads here to help start clearing out these structures over here. Oh, that was the reinforcements finally leaving. A crazy, crazy amount of watchtowers over here by Bike Rush. Bike Rush expecting something crazy, or at the very least, trying to stop all of these infantry from being able to get inside all of these buildings, destroying them before Master Leaf can pop any of those units in. And we're actually getting a rig here with a Shatterer. Master Leaf keeping things weird, keeping things subverted, doing all of this crazy stuff to try to catch Master Leaf in some form or fashion. But he doesn't really have the armor for this rig to be worth it just quite yet, unless he's just going to slowly stream in these zone Shatterers. That might be his plan. That might be his strategy. Rig moving its way up as slowly but surely Master Leaf moves his way up. Pitbull just barely able to survive there, as it looks like the armor upgrade did get completed. It looks like the suit upgrade did get completed for those infantry, so they're going to be able to suck up a little bit of this damage, but I'm not sure it matters. It looks like we do have plenty of forces being able to push their way over here and take out their opponent, and Bike Rush actually getting his own Shatterer out into these zone Shatterers as the forces begin to crumble for Master Leaf. Master Leaf's plan just falling apart slowly but surely. Zone Shatterers are not done. They have a good amount of range and are doing a good amount of damage into their opponent. But it looks like for every zone Shatterer here, there is a Shatterer here to meet it. Master Leaf did a little bit of a not super great macro, losing Zone Shatterer in an unfortunate position, followed by two more soon after. There it is. Master Leaf has thrown in the towel and has lost consecutively against Bike Rush, one of the tougher opponents in the IES Invitational. We'll be moving on to our next set of players here in just a moment. Welcome, Commander. We are in match number 2 on the map, Tiberium Rift. Starts off in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, wearing the yellow robe, sporting the GDI gloves. Here is Bart Jones. His opponent for the moment in the top left-hand corner of the map, in the green robe, sporting the Nod gloves. Here he is for the first time, Drive. Both fighters ready. Begin. Today's match is sponsored by Microwave Toast, because waiting for bread is for casuals. I am super happy to see Drive in this tournament. I haven't been able to see a crazy amount of games from him, just sort of in general, unless he's been playing on alts that I have not been able to see. From what I understand, and from watching Cybert's videos and a couple other videos here and there, he does seem like a very solid player. I don't know why he doesn't pop up quite as much as I would like him to do. I am more than happy to see him in the IES Invitational. I am excited to see what he can do, especially up against a player like Bart Jones, who I think, along with Phoenix, Bike, and Futurama probably, seem to be showing the most promise in this IES as far as like making it towards the end. So the semifinals are probably going to be pretty amazing with the cream of the crop players making it their way up there, and we'll get to see each other fight against each other. And if they've taken some time, they might also spend some time looking at a couple of the replays, a couple of the videos that are available to them, and studying their opponents and looking at their tactics. I mean, obviously the deal would be to have more tactics to switch to, but if you've practiced and practiced, you know, a particular thing in order to get ready for this tournament, and not able to do that might throw you off on your back foot. So it depends on how well you can adapt to the situation. Bike and buggies are out here in force for Drive, poking and prodding, trying to control that center of the map. It's going to be really important, especially against a player like Bart Jones. Drive has begun to slowly but surely group up his forces over here in the centers. No one has grabbed the blue Tiberium just quite yet. Hopefully Drive is going to follow that up, maybe move into an assault and grab that blue Tiberium while he's doing it at the same time. That would be great if he can pull that off. He's waiting for a good, healthy amount of these bikes here. He does have enough to get 2 volleys on a harvester and take it out, and he does begin to move his assault. Let's see if he can find the purchases he wants with this bike rush. But it looks like Bart Jones is ready and prepared for it. He has a healthy amount of pit bulls up and ready to go. Drive not able to get the purchase, but he's not done quite yet because he's going to be able to take a couple of shots on this Tiberium spike, and losing that early on can suck just a little bit. That engineer did get repaid for, but losing that income is going to start to hurt. Pit bulls are finally here, but it's too little too late, and actually a couple of them are going to get caught in a bad spot as the bikes begin to concave and get a couple of really good rockets out on them. And nope, the second pit bull does manage to make its way out just slowly but surely, and they were able to get, I believe that was a bike there at the very end, and Drive did follow it up with a harvester. He has a full load of blue Tiberium. He was able to get a Tiberium spike. He was able to get one one pit bull. As speaking of pit bull moving into Drive's base over in the north, nothing really to write home about. It does make its way out with just a small amount of HP. I think Drive just miscalculated that just a little bit. So Bart Jones is going to continue making a couple of these little whittling assaults, as he might actually group up his pit bulls over here in the north, unless he's actually he's going to split them, probably one going north, one going south here in a moment. But he's got to know that his opponent's probably going to be pretty mobile. Drive has already transitioned into his Scorpion tanks. That's very good. He's got a good healthy plattering of really everything that he needs. He's got these fast mobile bike and buggy combination. He's got his operations center out, so we might see something sneaky. We've got a couple of these Scorpion tanks. Maybe we're going to get that ram shield here in a minute to start soaking up some of the damage that Nod's going to be able to do to them. Bart Jones has not been able to get on the aggressive just quite yet. Hasn't been able to control the center of the map, but maybe that'll change here in a moment with this assault. But I suspect Drive is up and ready for it. He has a large number of units. I think he definitely has number advantages. And speaking of small advantages, these pit bulls are going to run into infantry, which is not going to be good for them whatsoever. One pit bull almost gets taken out there almost for free. Couple of pit bulls in the north, and they're going to be able to spot this flame tank, as the flame tank is just not going to be able to find any purchases. Bart Jones doing a very good job killing that opponent, but he's probably going to lose 4 of these. No, maybe, I'm not sure what he's going for. It looks like Drive was expecting a little bit more forces over here, but a couple of these are going to go down almost for free. But the lion's share of the pit bulls are over in the south. Decoy army did get deployed there in that engagement. Like I said, I think Drive was suspecting that there was going to be more pit bulls there. I don't think he thought that the pit bulls were still going to be split up in the manner that they were. Hammerheads, I guess, were able to grab something. I'm not sure what they were able to see. It does look like we did get the Dozer Blade for that extra armor. AP ammo is probably not too far to follow for these Hammerheads. Hammerheads are in a bad position as they get killed left and right, and it looks like we're going to get in a fight in earnest, and I think the advantage is in Drive's over here. Drive just has all of these Scorpion tanks tanks into all of these pit bulls. Pit bulls are just not going to be able to do a crazy amount into scorpion tanks. They're going to be able to take out shots here and there, but especially with this upgrade, Drive has the advantage. Drive has the control of the center of the map, especially for him to be able to push Bike Rush back. And actually noticing something, the secondary natural expansion has been grabbed by Bart Jones. Bart Jones using this strategy over and over again, not able to find really great purchases, except for this time. Drive says no, nuh-uh, not in my house, not today, no Reclamator Hub for you, no secondary natural expansion for you, and no pit bulls for you, as the laser turrets are here. Bart Jones throws in the towel, giving an early win to Drive. Drive doing a fantastic job into Bart Jones. I hope this is a good mile marker, a good tempo setter for the matches to follow. Definitely exciting to see the tables getting turned on Bart Jones. I'll see you in round number 2. Round 2 takes place on Toxicity. Over in our top right, we have Bart Jones hanging on to his yellow, moving, it looks like 2 steel talons, mixing it up just a little bit, maybe trying to find some purchases on all of that armor. That was a lot of scorpion tanks to deal with. And speaking of scorpion tanks, over on the left-hand side, we have in the green, playing the nod, we have Drive. Drive getting a good chunk of militant squads, grabbing his Tiberium spike. Both players scouting each other out. Rifleman squads trying to nope their way out of there as quickly as possible. Bart Jones probably going to get a pillbox inside of Drive's base. I'm curious if Drive's going to try something a little bit sneakier this time. He did go a more standard, less rushy tactic in that last match, and it paid off well. He was able to control the center of the map. He does have the scouting. He does seem like one of these more skilled players, one of these very solid players. Harvester comes out as 2 Harvesters are beginning to harvest the main base of both players' bases. There is the Foxhole. Looks like Bart Jones was not able to stop that. There is also the Raider Buggy soon to follow. Natural expansion is developing as the MCV for Drive begins to make its way south. Actually running into 2 different pillboxes, being an absolute pest. Bart Jones really loving those foxholes, really loving that free scouting. The assault does finally end on the MCV, but they are still there inside his base and are going to be hard to delodge. Drive getting a little bit of revenge on his opponent, hopefully trying to stop this MCV, but just not able to quite do it. And I guess you can get inside the field of the MCV when it deploys like that. I was kind of curious if it would destroy the Raider Buggy, but that does not appear to be the case when it deploys. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I would kind of like to see them explode if you deploy on top of someone, but I guess the MCV doesn't really crush anyone. Although I feel like it could. It's a big enough vehicle slash building that it might be able to, but maybe that would be too overpowered to watch them crush a couple of units if you could crush them with your MCV. I feel like it's a high risk, high reward kind of thing. Pillboxes for Bart Jones are finally getting taken out. It does look like we're getting a couple of MRTs. For those of you who don't know the difference, these are not APCs, they are MRTs, and they actually have a little bit of repair function on them. If you look at them, they have a tiny crane there that can get those repair off. So for a faction like Steel Talons, which focuses on armor, it has a couple of those blockers. These MRTs are really good into that because they're like the rig, but they're significantly more mobile. I don't think they heal quite as much. A couple of mine drops getting here up and ready to go. Probably some sneakiness expecting from Bart Jones. Bart Jones expecting something sneaky from his opponent. Mines are going to get spotted as Bike and Buggy move their way in and Bike and Buggy move their way out. Nobody wanting to commit to this engagement, but one Bike going to get taken out there in the end. He was the straggler. He was the weak link that was just able to take out. But if Bart Jones is not careful, he's going to run into his opponent's base, which is probably what Drive wants as he slaps down a hand of nod, maybe anticipating an assault. MRTs here are going to continue the repairs on top of the pit bulls. Concave happening really well. It looks like Drive was able to get a really good shot. He did lose one bike, but one bike for one pit bull is definitely worth it. Those bikes are significantly inexpensive compared to the pit bulls. The transition will be the real thing to watch out for Drive. And speaking of transitions, we're getting an airfield for Bart Jones. Bart Jones grabbing a little bit of those units, and we're getting another little engagement over here over the blue Tiberium as Bart tries to push out Drive over here from this section. Is almost able to kill a Harvester, but most importantly, is able to make that Harvester back its way out, stopping it from getting it. First Hammerhead is out, but that means that Drive is going to see it, that Drive is going to prepare for it, but maybe Bart Jones is anticipating that if he can get the victory off, if he can get the wins off, it will be worth losing those couple of Hammerheads. Another Hammerhead gets sent in by itself and destroyed rather unceremoniously, getting killed and pushing Bart Jones out of the center of the map. Drive doing a fantastic job of controlling the center of the map, grabbing this blue Tiberium and controlling it in that last round as well. Tech Center is up and ready to go. There is the AP ammo for the Hammerheads that looks like they were able to get in the background. Getting our other little engagement over here as Bart Jones actually sort of turns the table on his opponent, getting a free kill on one of those bikes. But when one goes down, there are plenty to follow, and Drive was only there to suck up all the resources that he can. Hopefully Bart Jones can sneak his way in with a Harvester of his own and get some little advantages, because losing that blue Tiberium time and time again is going to set him back. And it's going to give a player like Drive more and more resources. Scorpion tanks do appear to be the transition. Would not be surprised if once again we get that ramp upgrade. That's probably what we're upgrading right now. Sam Turret pops its way down, anticipating an assault for the Hammerheads, and good thing too, because there it is. There's the Hammerheads. Stealth Harvesters are out. Hammerheads have decided to go for the Tiberium Spike. Drive has time to respond to this if his units aren't too far out. And actually, no, his units are completely in the north, so he's going to have this Tiberium Spike probably fall for free. There are a couple of bikes here, but I think it's too little too late. No, maybe the repair is here as Drive continues to group up his forces, and there it is. The Hammerheads are finally going to get targeted down, and looks like one is going to get taken down, one's going to get damaged. One Scorpion tank getting caught in a bad position, but still able to make its way up as the primary set of armor of Drive begin to make their way back into the center of the map, pushing Bart Jones out just a little bit. And Bart Jones, if he's not careful, is going to lose a Mammoth tank. That is going to be an expensive tank. He does have plenty of reinforcements on their way, but this Mammoth tank taking all this free damage is not going to be good. Two more Hammerheads get taken out as Bart Jones can't keep anything in the air. Bart Jones has a lot of mana tanks here, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough to stop all of these Scorpion tanks. Scorpion tanks backing their way out, trying to get a little bit of reinforcements, not wanting to engage, maybe anticipating that Bart Jones might have more forces somewhere. We do have the two upgrades for the Scorpion tanks. Scorpion tanks grabbing their laser turrets, Scorpion tanks grabbing their dozer upgrade, giving them a little bit more in that department. Pitbull after Pitbull gets taken out, and I think they are a dying breed over here. Drive deciding to completely circumvent his opponent so far, moving into his base almost uncontested. Bart Jones is not prepared for this, but he can sandwich the forces, or he could just decide to hop onto Drive's base instead. Drive being a little bit inconcisive, I guess is the proper term, but not choosing where he wanted that a fight. Not knowing where your opponent's forces are can be particularly bad, and he probably didn't want to get bogged down inside of Bart Jones's base. More Hammerheads are out. Does look like Drive was able to sneak a militant squad inside that garrison, giving him a little bit more scouting. I'm honestly really impressed by the plays of Drive. He seems like such a solid player, and he's doing all of the right things so far that I've seen. And there it is. He's done another good thing that I wish some of these other players would do just a little bit better, which is constantly preparing these transitions, constantly anticipating what your opponent's going to build. It looks like reinforcements do get taken out by the SAM turret over in the north. Secondary natural expansions are beginning to develop as Master Leaf, as Hammerheads move their way into the secondary natural expansion of opponent, but Drive is here. Drive is already ready for it. He has the buggies with a little bit of lasers in it, and he has a couple of bikes here ready to go. One Hammerhead already almost getting taken out, and it looks like the Air Forces begin to pepper here and there, taking out, dealing what damage where they can to Drive's base, but nothing really to write home about. Avatars are here and ready to go, and supported by all of this armor, they're going to be able to pack quite the punch. Obelisk on the secondary natural expansion. Maybe Drive anticipating that's where the assault's going to be. Stealth Tank is going to be able to get a Harvester over in the north. I'm not sure why that Harvester was that far out. There is no blue Tiberium there for him to grab. Maybe he was using it to scout, but I feel like that's a pretty expensive scout to send out that direction. Looks like Mammoth Tanks are going to be the name of this game, but I'm not sure how well they're going to fare into... Once again, there's another transition. Two-handed nods out on the front line to support all of these avatars, to support just all of this diversity of units that Drive's been able to get up. He just has so many units, and they're so mobile. And it looks like the strategy actually is to go man spam into avatars for the south, and go the faster moving units, go the Scorpion tanks, the units maybe he's transitioning out of slowly but surely, and send those to go and destroy the weaker section of the base, while your better tech is here in the south, while your better tech is here and ready to get some couple of good shots off. And I don't believe Bart Jones knows what's coming his way. He is going to see stuff with his Mammoth Tank that is going to buy him just a little bit of time. There are 2 Mammoth Tanks here, but those Mammoth Tanks are going to get taken down rather quickly by all of these Scorpions. Mammoth Tank down to half HP. Hammerheads moving their way in. There is no support so far for these Scorpions. Scorpions are vulnerable, but Bart Jones does not know that. Does sound like Bart Jones was able to get his Marv out. There it is, sell off of a watchtower as they pop their way into the Marv. Need to get some engineers in those because they're going to have to contend with all of the avatars of their opponent. I wouldn't be surprised if Drive has a... There it is. There is a Redeemer Engineering facility. He's transitioned right on cue, keeping up with Bart Jones. Stealth tanks moving their way in, almost able to get a kill on one of those Hammerheads, but just not quite able to get in the range that they want. Drive has sort of given up on moving into the north. Bart Jones has been too tight in his defense in order to allow that to happen, and Drive, not knowing what and where everything is probably being a little bit more cautious. One Scorpion tank does get taken down for free by that Mammoth tank, but so far nothing really significant has happened just quite yet. And actually, I take that back. We're getting a base rush on Drive's base. Bart Jones is moving with his Steel Talon forms. He's got his Behemoths here in the front line. He's moving his Mammoth tanks in and about to deploy his MCV. And the majority of the forces of Drive are there in the south. He is going to be able to see it coming. There are the Hammerheads, but I'm not sure what all he's going to be able to do in order to stop it, as Drive Panic moves all of his forces over here into the second. He did not expect this assault whatsoever, and he does not want to lose that if he can. He does want to try to force a fight if he's able to get one. We do have a couple of Spectres as another transition happens for Drive, but Drive needs to make up for this assault. If he can push this assault back, he might be able to find himself some purchases. Marv moving its way in and getting taken down to half HP, supported by those Hammerheads. Bart Jones has set himself up with a laser fence and is here to stay, but so is the artillery for his opponent. So is the artillery for Bart Jones, or for Drive. Drive moving his way in with man spam here to soak up a lot of that damage. Watchtower's probably coming out with AP ammo. Yep, that is the case as Bart Jones moves into the secondary natural expansion of his base. There is the one click. There's the Redeemer here in the engagement. This is going to be the deciding factor of here. One really good one click. It looks like it's mainly just going to hit the avatars. Hammerheads moving their way in. There's so much going on. Magnetic Mine Drop popping its way down, not able to get any purchases as the Reamer gets taken down as the Hammerhead goes down. EMP after EMP is here. Behemoth goes down. Unit after unit just get absolutely decimated, and somehow Drive has turned this assault around with the only thing left in the south. The only thing left for Bart Jones is here in the south. If he doesn't know it, these units are dead here quickly, but he's going to try to get what damage, when, and where he can, and actually he's going to try to focus on this construction yard. Venoms are here, but I'm not sure what they're going to be able to do to a Marv. That Marv has 2 engineers in it, and it already is super beefy. That's only going to be able to do so much, but it does not matter because Drive is here with the hammer, and he's ready to lay the smackdown on Bart Jones, telling Bart Jones, get out, this is my house, this is my map, and you may not know it, but you are already dead. I'm not sure how he's going to be able to turn this around. He does still have a good chunk of forces left, but he did lose a lot of money into that fight. It does look like we get a transition for Bart Jones into a couple of Wolverines, but I think it's probably too little too late. These forces just kind of have an advantage over here, and the Marv is just in a bad spot. If Drive can get in a good position, he can get a couple of really good shots off on these Mammoth tanks and whittle down the forces of Bart Jones slowly but surely. Bart Jones has got to be hurting on resources, especially after that assault. Venom's moving their way in, getting their way pushed back out. Everybody deciding to go for the Marv instead. Marv is about half HP as Drive begins to turn his forces around and start engaging on the armor of the Steel Talons factions of Bart Jones. Marv is less than half HP. Venom's moving their way in. So far, still uncontested. Building after building gets destroyed. Another unit pops its way out. It looks like he's using the Reclamator Hug to build Wolverines. Quite a large facility for something so silly. Pitbull's pushing the Venoms out, but I'm not sure it matters because Drive is on the front doorstep of Bart Jones, and Bart Jones has got to be hurting on resources. There's not much he has left whatsoever, and he was not able to harvest anything. And speaking of the Marv, Marv is about to go down here any moment. There it is. There is the last real lifeline for Bart Jones. Drive is just absolutely on top of it. Drive is absolutely rocking it in this match 1 and 2. Singular Wolverine going down, trying to deal what damage it could there in the end. Refineries getting targeted down. Secondary natural expansion getting targeted down. Couple of mana takes inside the infrastructure of Drive, but Drive does do the fire cell, selling off a good chunk of his base, trading the secondary natural expansion that Bart Jones was in for his old main base and the other secondary natural expansion. But that means that the Venoms and the other forces are freed up, and these forces are going to be able to get absolutely liquidated by Drive. The assault has ended on Drive's base. Only two mammoth tanks remain, but the Venoms will slowly but surely take them out over time, along with a bit of support. Drive still has a good chunk of units over here in the south. He needs to reposition them because he only has pretty much the one base left, and he's going to need to protect it. Something does get taken out. I think it was the Spectre. I think the Spectre was in a bad position, did get taken out. Avatar, and actually these units are in not a great position. They're not able to concave their forces. Bart Jones might be able to turn around actually with this assault over here. He does have a little bit of advantage, and if his Wolverines can stay up, he can continue in this fight. I say that just as soon as the Venoms move their way in, equalizing, giving Drive the advantage, starting to take out units left and right. Pitbull's doing their best to take them out, but it's too little too late. Man Spam moving their way in, Avatars moving their way in, and it looks like Drive was able to get a good catch on the significant amount of Bart Jones's forces there. But Bart Jones is not one to give up easily, and he's been able to turn these around in weird scenarios, but he's got to be hurting on resources, and right on cue, there is the GG. He hasn't been able to harvest anything for a while, and I don't think he had any Tiberium spikes. Yeah, it does look like Drive was able to take out those Tiberium spikes, so Bart Jones was just completely emptied out. Things are definitely heating up in this match 2. Let's move on to round 3. Match 3 kicks off on Tournament Dust Bowl. In the north, we have Bart Jones hanging on to his yellow and hanging on to his Steel Talons. We do get a bit of change over here by the green player, by Drive. Drive has also decided to go Steel Talons to mix it up and maybe keep Bart Jones on his tail end. He did very, very good with Nod in both of those previous games. Just having these great transitions, always having an answer for Bart Jones, being prepared, getting the scouting, just being Johnny on the spot about everything in those matches, just doing really, really well into him. And Bart Jones is not one of those players who's a real big pushover. If I remember correctly, I think Bart Jones is sort of like an up-and-coming good player. I think he played a massive amount of games with Bike Rush and just learned and slowly just ground out the meta over. But I think he is lacking in experience, at least compared to some of the other players. And from what I understand, Drive is one of these older players. I don't know if he plays as much. I haven't seen him play as much as I stated before. So learning the dynamic of him is going to be interesting to see unfold. Bart Jones staying with his tricks of the trade, followed by probably a foxhole by his opponent. Drive doing the same thing to his opponent. Natural expansion is being expanded to here any moment by Drive. Drive just a little bit ahead, I think. No, actually a little bit behind on Bart Jones for the development of the natural expansion. Not that that's going to matter too much. I always just like to keep an eye on it to see what these players prioritize on, right? Because like developing your natural expansion like 5 seconds before your opponent doesn't matter if you lose a harvester, you know, because like there's always setbacks. this is, you know, like most strategy games is sort of trading not just resources, but like gains, right? Like, so if you gain something or have some sort of advantage, you need to do something with it before your opponent turns it around on you. MRTs are out here in force by Bart Jones as they move their way down the center of the map. No one really garrisoned in any of these buildings. No one electing to grab that just quite yet. First refinery is out for both players. We do have 2 harvesters on the secondary natural expansion for Drive and only 1 harvester for Bart Jones. So Drive maybe going a little bit more economy since Bart Jones went into this sort of kind of rush with the pit bulls and the MRTs. Pitbull sort of acting as a scout, looking for a harvester that they can snack on. It looks like there is an MRT with a couple of rocket squads here, and that should be enough to push out their opponent as a singular Pitbull gets taken out, MRT gets taken out, and if they're not careful, there is the mine drop, and it looks like Drive might just run quite into it. Nope, he does stop just in time, but no, actually, he turns around after stopping. He just runs right into it, but he doesn't lose any units, though, which is the important part, and also, he was able to get another kill on another MRT of his opponent. Watchtower is out to kill this foxhole to get rid of at least one of the scouts for the time being, selling off of the barracks to garrison a couple more of these troops, as it looks like we have mass MRTs by Drive. I really want to see what he comes up with for these strategies, because I don't know, for me, Drive is a new player, is an unfamiliar player to me. So the more I get to see him play, the more I get to see his strategy and sort of potentially how his brain works, how his transitions work, is always kind of fascinating for me to see what these players do with the limited number of factions. I know Kane's Wrath has 9 factions, which is a lot more than a lot of other ones. I know there's sub-factions, but it's still 9 factions. There's still 9 different things that you've got to learn and balance and play against, right? So it adds that diversity. But you do see sort of the same strategies over and over, especially if you see the same players playing over and over. So when you throw in a player like Drive, who I haven't seen quite as much, I'm always pretty excited about it. Bart Jones popping a couple of orcas in, getting that 1 click off in order to get a little bit of scouting on his opponent, maybe try to hit one of the refineries and get a little bit of shot off over there. He is going to see the airfield by his opponent and actually decide to bomb the airfield instead, doing very, very little damage. But most importantly, he knows that that airfield's up, and his opponent Drive knows that his opponent has an airfield. So, you know, we've sort of gone into this Spider-Man meme where it's airfield pointing at airfield. Units for Bart Jones are making their way south into the old main base of their opponent. Drive's not in a good position quite yet. He hasn't grouped up his forces. He's got sort of a splattering of MRTs here and there, and he's not going to be able to concave, while his opponent is going to be able to concave, especially with those mortar upgrades by the Pitbulls. If Drive's not careful, Bart Jones is just going to roll into his base, but that does appear why Drive was a little bit slower, because he transitioned into mammoth tanks. At least a singular mammoth tank, which is going to be enough to push out most of the armor of Bart Jones. Bart Jones will have a hard time dealing with that mammoth tank, especially while Drive has defender's advantage. Looks like we've got a little bit of Firehawks over here. Those that does appear to be what Drive has decided to grab. I'm not sure what mode they're in, because if I remember correctly, they can hit air too. Move quickly throughout the battlefield. Yeah, I'm not sure which mode they're in, because I know they can do a little bit of firebombing here and there. Bart Jones actually being a little bit sneaky, grabbing some Tiberium off of his opponents, grabbing some Tiberium off of Drive. I don't really see him long distance harvesting too much, but he did get that relatively free, and he did deny those resources. But that's something that'll only count sort of when the game gets longer and longer, those little gains there and there, and they, you know, eventually the Tiberium will regrow, and Drive will make up that difference. And when you long distance harvesting, which it looks like that's what he's continuing to do, when you long distance harvest, you do technically, you're losing money because you're losing time. If you can make up that money by grabbing like blue Tiberium or something like that, it can make a difference. Forces for Bart Jones are still poking and prodding at Drive over here. Drive doesn't have anything yet on his natural expansion. I said, actually, no, he does have his construction yard right there, and he does look like he's building a refinery slowly but surely. There is the scout by Bart Jones. This is going to see all of the MRTs for his opponent, but I don't think he was able to see the infantry. Mammoth Tank is here for the defense as Bart Jones meets it with a Mammoth Tank of his own. If Drive is not careful, he's going to lose a Harvester here for free. Harvester almost getting taken down with a full set of blue Tiberium. Multiple Mammoth Tanks move their way in. APC, or MRT, sorry, moves his way forward and gets taken out by Drive. Drive has finally grouped his forces and is ready for a fight, while Bart Jones is not. Bart Jones does not want this assault, or maybe he does want this assault because all of these Mammoth Tanks are over here in the south rolling into Drive's old main base. A couple of Mammoth Tanks and MRTs are going to be able to meet them. I don't think there are any MRTs here for that, so if the MRTs can stay back as the Mammoth Tanks soak up a lot of the damage, they can do a good chunk. Refinery is going to get taken down quick and in a hurry, followed by the Harvester. Drive having to back his way out. Drive having to turn his forces around and start dealing with something else. Firehawks taking a couple of really good shots from the Hammerheads, but it's not enough to take them out. There are 3 Firehawks here. Another Mammoth Tank gets hurt, and does look like Bart Jones has decided to back his way out. No, he's not. He's moving into the assault in the north, killing those forces that were sort of split off. He's doing a very, very good job of dividing and conquering Drive as these forces just move in over and over. Bart Jones doing a very good job on the micro and macro front, sort of turning things around, doing a bit better on Steel Talons in this mirror match as sort of Drive just keeps constantly getting pushed on his back foot. Speaking of back foot, that Mammoth has popped its way out at the wrong time and is getting taken out and absolutely destroyed. If Drive is not careful, he's going to lose his tech center here any moment. Firehawks are beginning to return their way in. A Drive not finding, I think, the purchases that he needs. Maybe he's been able to kill a couple of Harvesters. Maybe he's been able to kill a couple of air units, but it doesn't matter if he cannot develop his base. He's looking in a weaker position so far that we have seen him. 4 Harvesters on the secondary natural expansion for Drive. Old main base has all but depleted, but Bart Jones is not giving up the assault. Bart Jones is not giving up the aggression. However, Drive's rail cannons are going to do a good chunk of damage to his opponents. The concave is here for Drive. The defender's advantage is here for Drive. If Bart Jones is not careful, this might turn around on him. It does look like what Drive is going for with his air forces is a couple of power plants, but it doesn't matter as Drive loses armor after armor in the north. First Titan is out for Drive over in the south. He is sort of divvying up his defense, and he hasn't been able to harvest quite as much as Tiberium as his opponent. And we'll get to see how that plays. So he's probably behind a bit on resources because Drive has been A, uncontested, and B, has taken out a couple more lane. Bart Jones does send another one-click scout in to see what his opponent has on the map, and actually gets a free kill on a Harvester. That's going to make a difference. That's going to double down on his economic lead, and that might be how Bart Jones wins this, is with that economic lead. He wasn't able to get a Marv or a base rush inside of the secondary natural expansion of Drive, but he was able to prevent him from harvesting for a while. I do believe we got a little bit of a fire sale over there in the south. Not everything, but a couple of things here and there as a good chunk of reinforcements get killed before anything can happen, before any deployment for Bart Jones. But Bart Jones is going to see all of that man spam, going to see all of those Titans moving their way north into the secondary natural expansion of Drive. Drive has finally decided to begin the aggression. I think he did a mass fire sale. I think he even sold his MCV. Yeah, it does appear to be the case to go into the assault. So, however this boils down, this is either going to make or break the game for Drive. Drive moving for the old main base of his opponent, Bart Jones, doing the best he can to concave and group his forces. So far, he's doing a little bit better job. And if Drive's not careful, he's going to end up in a rather precarious position. One Mammoth Tank does get caught out in a bad position, but it's hard to tell where this is going to go. This still has time for Bart Jones to turn it around on Drive. Drive does have a lot of forces here, but I think Bart Jones does have the forces to stop it. Hammerheads moving their way in. Rail Cannon versus versus Rail Cannon, and I think Drive actually has the disadvantage. Bart Jones has too many forces. He has too much of an economy on his opponent, and I think he is going to lose this engagement and lose the match here, is my prediction here in a moment. There is the construction yard, but it is too little too late. Drive was not able to get what he needed, and Bart Jones is able to capitalize on the mistakes of Drive, and that mirror match does go to Bart Jones. Let's see how they both fare in match number 4. Match 4 takes place on Winter Meltdown. Winter Meltdown is sponsored by Couch Potato Athletes, turning lazy Sundays into a competitive sport. Speaking of competitives, over in the top right-hand corner, we have Bart Jones. Bart Jones mixing it up, switching off of his GDI sub-faction and GDI going into Scrin. Over in the bottom left-hand corner, we have Drive once again holding on to his green, but switching to Marked of Kane. Both players wanting a little bit of a change there, and I don't think either player wanting another mirror match of the Steel Talons. Accord. It does look like Drive was a little bit weaker on the Steel Talons front than Bart Jones. Bart Jones might just be a little bit more practiced, at least in recent time, opposed to his opponent. Buzzer Hive's going to pop its way down. EMP going to pop on it, and it looks like Bart Jones is going to get a sail off on it as another Buzzer Hive goes down, but these forces are here, and they are going to continue to be annoying. There is the EMP. There are a couple of rockets as Drive has begun to be an absolute pest, delaying the building, delaying this drone platform time and time again. One Gunwalker is out, and it's going to be able to help push them out with the help of this Seeker tank. Drone platform did get delayed. If Drive does have the opportunity, he's going to try to drop more EMPs on it, but I think he is out at least for the time being. One bike does get taken out as Drive's not able to find the purchase that he needs. He did a little bit of annoyance, but he did lose a good chunk of units for it. Bikes and Awaken are slowly being pushed surely out of Bart Jones's base. Bart Jones developing his Gunwalkers and his Seeker tanks, holding on, keeping a solid defense against that small attack. The drone ship has moved its way over to the secondary natural expansion. There it is, good to go, followed by Drive over in the north. Winter Meltdown is not a map I see a crazy amount, so I'm not familiar with it, so it looks like we go from here possibly to here for both players. You know, same thing for Drive, going from here to his natural expansion to his secondary natural expansion. But those secondary natural expansions are in, I feel like, a really weird position. You can transition your way over into it. Actually, we have a couple of descents over here by Bart Jones. Bart Jones looking to get a little something sneaky, but the Raider buggy does scout them. Is it going to be enough time? There's the low power mode for the refinery, allowing it to take less damage. Bikes moving their way in, getting a couple of good shots off on this Seeker tank. Disintegrators are here. Shredder turrets are here to take out the Disintegrators, as the Disintegrators may not be able to find the target that they want, the kills that they want, as they do get taken out. Bart Jones not able to get any sneakiness off on his opponent with those Disintegrators. He is transitioning into something more traditional for Scrin, which is the Seeker tanks and a couple of the Gunwalkers there for the air defense and a couple of things. The Seeker tanks can also shoot air defense as well. Bike and Buggy have developed quite nicely, taking out one Seeker tank over here in the center. Probably going to lose a bike in return, but that is a good trade bike for Seeker tank all day long. Those bikes are pretty cheap. It does suck to lose them, but it's honestly, I'm not sure what's not worth trading into for the bike. You know, maybe if a bike goes after like a Professor Cabal squad or something. But if they get really any kills, they kind of already pay themselves back. Natural expansion for Bart Jones is developing 2 refineries, and it looks like 3 harvesters for him, and it looks like only 2 harvesters for Drive. Drive a little bit behind in the economy, if ever so slightly. Probably not going to last too long. There's the 3rd harvester and possibly a 4th harvester here in a moment. Nope, actually we get another Raider buggy. Speaking of Raider buggies, we do have Bike and Buggy here in the south. They're looking to move their way into the old main base of Bart Jones. Maybe they see something and decide to back their way out. I think maybe they saw those disintegrators there at the last minute. We do get our first shield upgrade for the Skrin faction. It looks like those Seeker tanks and Gunwalkers now have their shields up and ready to go. First Corruptor is out as well. For Bart Jones. Maybe he's trying to use that as a little bit of flame tank. If I remember correctly, the Corruptors do a good chunk of damage. No, actually, he's sending it over here to kill the scouts of his opponent, of Drive. Drive seeing that Corruptor getting a little bit of kill, backing his way out, maybe expecting a couple of more forces, maybe just trying to group. Actually, no, he's dealing with an assault over there that I missed, and it was all of these Seeker tanks. Bart Jones even sneaking up on me, and I have full Fog of War off, and somehow I did not catch that. But if he's not careful, Bart Jones might actually lose all of his Seeker tanks, which will sting as the game goes down. First little bit of shield going down. Bikes beginning to transition their way in and out after they get their volley, backing their way out. The micro is here for it, and it looks like one Seeker tank does finally get taken down, probably by a couple more here to follow, because there's nothing that can really stop this staggering amount of Bike and Buggy that Drive has been able to build up. Couple of disintegrators and a couple of Seeker tanks beginning to move their way in. If Drive can hop in on that when he can catch them in a bad spot, but it might happen the other way around as Seeker tanks catch a couple of these bikes here, killing one almost for free, only taking a little bit of dings here and there to their Harvester. Seeker tanks for Bart Jones poking and prodding, moving their way around, moving their way into the old main base of Drive. Bart Jones beginning his assault in earnest and backing out just as quickly as he sees the mobile forces of his opponent, and most importantly, the Scorpion tanks moving their way in. They don't have any upgrades, but they are going to have an easier time dealing with the Seeker tanks than they would, say, a Predator. Things are not looking great for Bart Jones. He is fighting a fighting retreat slowly but surely. Two Seeker tanks do get taken down, and the forces for Bart Jones get whittled slowly but surely over time. Does look like we got a good one-click and possibly a wormhole in and a wormhole out as the secondary natural expansion for Drive actually goes down, making a little bit of an upset. There's a one-click locking down the majority of these bikes and buggies as the Eradicator Hexapod is slowly developing, slowly but surely, but the assault is here. The one-clicks are here. They are going to be able to take out a good chunk of the forces of Drive. Drive has got to be hurting on resources and definitely hurting on units. Defender's advantage is here in full effect for Bart Jones. Bart Jones having a couple of tripods out on the front line. Scorpion tanks moving their way in, and this could still be anyone's game. I say that just as soon as Drive throws in the towel, bringing us to a 2-2 match in match number 4, each player taking 2 points off of each other. This does seem to be a more even match than a couple of the others we have seen. Let's see how match number 5 unfolds. Match number 5 is on the map. Tournament Highlands. Over in the right-hand sector of the map, hanging onto the yellow, but switching to black hand, we have Bart Jones. His opponent is still Drive, is still green, but has also switched to black hand. This is Drive. Getting another mirror match from these players. Hopefully this works out better in Drive's favor. He did sort of fall by the wayside when it came to Steel Talons versus Steel Talons into Bart Jones. Hallucination Grenade is going to pop its way out, forcing a couple of these Cabal Confessor squads to kill each other, but not enough to write home about. There's still 2 up, and that's really all you need in order to get your scouting. Both Tiberium spikes have been grabbed by their respective players, and everything is slowly but surely developing. Speaking of developing, we have a couple of bikes up here and ready to go, and actually that's not it. It looks like Bart Jones is also going to take a note out of Master Leaf's book and move his way probably to go grab the Tiberium spikes of his opponent. And actually we already have an early Scorpion tank too here. Bart Jones mixing it up. Bart Jones looking for something weird to get going, doing a bit of scouting with the Confessor Cabal squads, and it looks like Drive has gotten ready for this assault with these Scorpion tanks. One Scorpion tank does get taken down. Hand of Nod is going to pop its way out. Scorpion tank after Scorpion tank are going to get taken out along with the bikes. However, it does look like Bart Jones is on top of this. He just has too many bikes already here, and he's sending more and more. It looks like a Harvester full of Tiberium is going to get taken down rather quickly, but while they're not shooting that harvester. The Scorpion tanks are going for them, but it looks like this assault is still going in Bart Jones's favor. Drive is just not able to get really anything off. He's not able to get anything out. Bart Jones was just too quick. Scorpion tank after Scorpion tank pops its way out, and bike after bike keeps ranking its way up as just Drive cannot keep a single Scorpion tank alive. I think this match might already be over as Harvester after Harvester stuffed with blue Tiberium, or Tiberium keeps going down. There it is. There is the GG. This is one of the fastest games we've seen so far in the IES. Bart Jones just absolutely keeping Drive on his back foot, giving himself another victory, giving himself a one-match lead or one-round lead on Drive. Let's see if Drive has what it takes to take on Bart Jones in match number 6. Match 6 is on Badland Hills. Over on the right-hand side, we have hanging onto his yellow and keeping his black hand, we still have Bart Jones. Drive over on his left-hand side, also hanging on to his green and also hanging on to his mirrored black hand. Looks like Drive was not able to get the match that he wanted, probably felt a little bit of frustration, just not able to get his full military developed. Bart Jones was just way too quick on the uptake. I did not check to see if that last match he was an all-in, like if he sold his MCV and just went real heavily into that. I did miss that early on. That could be why winning those scoutings were extremely crucial, because if we did do that. And actually, we have 2 war factories out and about for Drive. Drive not want to be able to catch unawares going into a bunch of these bikes. Maybe it was also a double war factory for Bart Jones over in his base. I wish I had caught that. I should have paid just a little bit more attention to it. But either way, I did catch Drives, and Drives got the appropriate number of bikes. However, one is it keeps getting caught in a bad spot time and time again. Bart Jones is going to know that this is coming his way, but at the cost of losing a Raider buggy. And so far, these bikes are uncontested. 2 volleys from them are enough to take out a single harvester, and there they are. They're going to find their first target. There is volley number 1, but bikes move their way in, and Bart Jones is ready for it. Bart Jones is here for it. He does lose a couple of units here and there, and it looks like Drive is trying to keep it on his back foot. Harvester does get taken down. This is a complete polar opposite of what happened last time. Now Bart Jones is on his back line. However, it's not quite the same. The Scorpion tank after Scorpion tanks aren't getting taken out, but the Drive is still finding purchases where he can. Not quite as successful as his opponent, losing a couple of bikes on his way out. These Scorpion tanks and the defense was just a little bit tighter on Bart Jones's side. In my experience, though, Bart Jones has excelled really well on hanging out on his back foot, has excelled really well on the defense, and has been able to turn the tables on his opponents time and time again when it comes to defense. Cabal Confessor squads pushing out the bikes of Drive in the center of the map. Center of the map still being mostly controlled by Drive for the moment, but nobody capitalizing on the blue Tiberium just quite yet. Engineer moving into the north, maybe going for this watchtower, maybe going for probably not the EMP. No one ever grabs the EMP. And it looks like Bike and Buggy has developed quite nicely for Drive. Did Drive go all in this time? Doesn't look like he has an MCV. Yeah, he did go all in with the Bike and Buggy here, so he really has to find his purchases. I don't believe Bart Jones did the same. No, maybe actually he did. No, Bart Jones did not do the same. Bart Jones has a secondary natural expansion up and ready to go. Drive deciding to go for a Tiberium spike. Definitely going to help in the long run, but I'm not sure you want to be aiming for the long run. Drive, you are transitioning into Scorpion tanks, which can make a difference, and you do have a lot of money going into your bank, but that base is going to run out of Tiberium, and I'm not sure. I mean, I guess the killing the Tiberium spike is going to help, and it was something to shoot, and it was free. But he's not going to be able to capitalize on that gain. When you do a rush, you're at a disadvantage, and you need to find some sort of purchase. You need to find something to snack on, something to make that rush worth it. Killing a couple of harvesters, delaying your opponent, something. Drive is moving in on force over on the secondary natural expansion of his opponent. I'm not sure Bart Jones is here and Bart Jones is ready for it. There's a Hand of Nod here, but this is going to be a lot to deal with. This is a lot of Scorpion tanks. This is a lot of units. Hand of Nod gets targeted down. One shot left on the Hand of Nod. Couple of shots left on the Harvester. Harvester going to get taken out probably here in a second by the bikes, but the Scorpion tanks for Bart Jones are here. Is Drive going to be able to micro this appropriately in order to win this fight? He's got to be able to kill all of his armor. This is a lot of armor to deal with. He is slowly but surely winning, but Bart Jones has that defender's advantage, has that war factory, has more and more reinforcements moving their way out, and it does look like the forces of Drive were delayed, and they were only able to get a Hand of Nod, and they were only able to get a single Harvester. Drive still has a little bit of time to make up those losses, to find the advantages that he's looking for, but I don't think Bart Jones is going to give him the time. Cabal Confessor Squad's getting squished and almost completely ignored on their way over to the center expansion. Bart Jones getting a little bit of revenge on the Tiberium spike, but Drive not allowing it to happen, moving his staggering number of Scorpion tanks in as well. It's Scorpion tank versus Scorpion tank. Bart Jones is a little bit better on the concave, but it doesn't look like Drive has the numbers, and he's capitalizing on those numbers, able to get a couple of kills here and there, and cycling out a couple of those Scorpion tanks, sending them back to base just in time, or maybe turning them around there at the end. Drive is doing a really, really good job killing Scorpion tank after Scorpion tank of Bart Jones, but if he's not careful, this advantage is going to turn into a disadvantage like it is right now, because a good chunk of these Scorpion tanks are hurt because Drive was not able to turn around and go and repair. Hopefully he was able to get the gains that he needed in order for that to fight, but I think he's going to lose a couple more units, and if he's not careful, he's going to lose a Harvester for free here in a second. Another Scorpion tanks get taken down. Second Scorpion tank gets taken down. Third Scorpion tank. Fourth Scorpion tank. All those advantages that Drive was able to get his hands on, I think he lost just right there. Bart Jones doing a significantly better job grouping his units and paying attention to them just a little bit more than Drive, and that might be what makes up the difference in this match. The Tiberium field for Drive is looking rather anemic. He's going to be running out of resources. He does have a good chunk of Scorpion tanks, and if he can turn things around in another assault, especially if he can catch these 3 Scorpion tanks, that would be a great find for him to be. That can tip the scales if he just turns around and sees him. One does take a couple of free shots, but nothing really to write home about. Drive deciding to capitalize on the advantage, moving in on the Harvesters of his opponent and choosing to not finishing off going for the armor of his opponent. Instead, as he loses unit after unit, he should have taken what gains he can where he can. Those little bitty whittling effects would have made a difference, but it does not matter because the majority of the forces of Drive are slowly but surely being taken out. Bikes trying to get what they can done in the north, but not really able to find some forces. Bart Jones's defense, Bart Jones's grouping has just been too solid in order for these all-in tactics to work, and Drive sort of being a little bit riskier when it comes to his assaults. Not trying to take what gains he can where he can, but he could have also just not seen the Scorpion tanks. It's easy for me to say because I'm hyper-focusing on the movements while they're focusing on infrastructure and everything else that's going on in the match. Defenses, a couple of more scouting happen over there. They're going to be able to see the units for Bart Jones beginning to develop over there. He's going to Drive, that is, he's going to need to be able to group up these forces in order to get the full concave effect. Cabal Confessor Squad's doing a good amount of damage to these rocket squads, but I'm not sure how much it's going to matter. Massive EMP on the majority of Bart Jones's army. That could be the turnaround over there. He was able to grab that EMP control center in the north, and that might be able to turn the tables on Bart Jones. EMP does finally end, and it looks like Drive is losing unit after unit, slowly but surely, but that did help his case. That did help him out. He's still not able to find the purchases that he needs, as Bart Jones actually has an assault up and ready to go, probably taking out the base of Drive. The fat lady has not sung, the bell has not rung just quite yet, but it might as well have. I'm not sure what Drive is going to be able to do to stop this. I think he's going to lose his base here any moment. Power plant does get taken out, and for some reason Bart Jones decides to not take that fight. Maybe he's waiting for more of his troops to move in as Drive is fully moved back into his base. And there's the fire cell. He's decided to sell everything, giving Bart Jones another win in this match. I'll see you in the upcoming round, Commander. Here is Tournament Underground. We've got another mirror match ongoing. We've got Bart Jones on the right playing Steel Talons, keeping with his yellow, and on the left-hand side, his opponent is still Drive, still in the green, but also playing Steel Talons. We get our second mirror match. We got two Black Hand matches, two Black Hand mirror matches, as in Bart Jones versus Drive, and we get a secondary one. Is this Drive's chance to redeem himself? He didn't fare super well in the mirror match beforehand. When it came to Steel Talons, we didn't see that smooth transition as we did with his first couple of games, and he wasn't able to keep his formations as tight and get those concave, make sure all those units are firing at the exact same time. Actually, I didn't notice this. Looks like we've got a little bit of a foxhole standoff. Both players popping down a foxhole there. And they just sort of have to do the Korean border thing where they just stare at each other forever with no real change. Does look like Drive. No, Bart Jones was able to get the forces of Drive. I couldn't see the color when they were sitting on top of the blue. It looked a little bit like green, but I guess they were sitting on blue and their yellow units, so maybe that blended, or my brain's just dumb. I'm not sure quite yet. It does look like the only good scouting so far is going to happen from Bart Jones. Nothing crazy from either player, no sell-off, no rush or whatnot. Probably going to see the development of the natural expansion here any moment. Pillbox is going to pop its way inside of Drive's base. It's going to see everything that's going on and once again be a pest. That's one of the biggest things about Bart Jones is he's pretty consistent in what he does. I don't mean necessarily predictable, but consistent in like his defense, consistent in his gameplay, to where you have a player sort of like Master Leaf who likes to do a lot of the weird stuff who is not consistent. Not ragging on Master Leaf or anything like that. I think I even remember him saying specifically that he's not a consistent player, and Bart Jones seems to be the opposite. We seem to get consistent gameplay out of him. He's really holding to his principle, holding to his the formation, the grouping, the defense. He just has his own notes that he really sticks to, and there's not a crazy amount of variation. He sort of just works from his core strategy and then adopts different things here and there off of it, but keeps that core strategy where it is. MRTs for both players have developed quite nicely, the difference being that there is a healthy amount of pit bulls on the opponent's side, but it does look like the answer might be a couple of these rockets, but nope, it does not matter because I think Bart Jones has the lion's share, has the better set of units over here. Mind drop does happen, but it's not going to be able to do really much at all. Sort of more of a, oh, you guys made me ink moment rather than an actual strategic mind drop for Drive. Pit bulls taking a really weird shot at, I'm not quite sure what. I guess they don't like glass or something like that. They are moving their way into the secondary natural expansion of Drive, trying to get something like that. And we actually get our first Guardian Cannon that I've seen in quite some time. I really don't get to see Guardian Cannons whatsoever. So kind of nice to see them popping their way out. We see plenty of Sonic emitters, and we saw them from Bike Rush, for example, like that. But we really don't get to see the Guardian Cannon too much. I guess it would make sense since he knows he's into Steel Talons, so that might make the difference. Rocket Squad's in a rather precarious position. They need to get out of here or they're going to get picked off. Maybe not. Those Rifleman Squad were able to save them just slowly but surely. Bart Jones once again positioning for a northern assault, snaking his way around with his MRTs, with his pit bulls, trying to get a kill on hopefully one of these harvesters. There is the scout, there is the scan, and it looks like there's a Titan on the base of Drive, sort of prepped and ready to go. It looks like Drive has sort of learned his lessons, has understood that Bart Jones is one of those players who's going to keep poking and prodding, and if you leave him an opening, he is going to take it just about every time he can get his hands on it. A couple of Oxes are here, probably with a couple of engineers and a few other things inside of them. Yep, there's an engineer here and there, combat engineer here and there, going for the contested control center and going for the contested refinery. Looks like Drive's only going to see if anything goes to the north. MRTs and Pitbulls moving their way back to this. Yep, they're going to see it here just to... No, maybe not. Pitbulls are here for the defense for the engineer. It looks like both contested Tiberium spikes are going to go to Bart Jones. That's going to be handy, especially if this game turns into a longer one, and it is going to make a little bit of a difference. No one really being too aggressive, or at least the others are not allowing one another to be aggressive. Everybody's sort of poking and prodding, probably feeling a little bit of fatigue from playing this good chunk of matches. And actually, this entire time, Drive's been building up a good chunk of these Orcas as Orcas move their way into the old main base of their opponent, probably able to get a couple of shots off on and kill one of these heavy harvesters. One heavy harvester doesn't get taken out. Secondary heavy harvester, third heavy harvester getting taken down. Possibly a fourth. 4 harvesters down, 5 harvesters down. Oh my god, just finding amazing purchases here and there. Oh, Drive just doing a fantastic job. Bart Jones was not prepared for that whatsoever. Losing 5 harvesters stings every single time. Doesn't matter how skilled of a player you are, that's gotta hurt. At least it only happened on the main base, which was slowly dwindling down, so that sort of diminishes those returns for Drive, but still, either way, losing 5 harvesters is still losing 5 harvesters. Titans are pushing out the forces that Bart Jones has been camping up over here, probably in preparation for the development of the secondary natural expansion. Yep, there is the MCV armor moving forward in order to protect it early on in advance. Firehawk's able to get a kill on something, probably the air units of his opponents, probably a couple of those units, and Bart Jones trying to make up those losses by grabbing 2 full loads of blue Tiberium. That will make a dent, that will make a difference, and will hopefully get him a little bit better in this game after losing and taking those hits to his economy. Drive's forces are developing quite nicely. Wolverines walking their way into certain doom. Orcas killing a Mammoth tank probably here rather quickly. Firehawks getting a couple kills on these Orcas. Orcas finally going down. Orcas finally getting taken down, as I think 4 or 5 of those Orcas did get killed. There is a 6th one right there as another Mammoth tank takes a good shot of it, as Drive has not grouped his forces once again in the appropriate position where he needs to. Bart Jones just being able to keep him on the back foot, being able to keep his formations in sort of some of these awkward stances where he's not really wanting them to be, where he's able to capitalize, where Bart Jones, that is able to capitalize on this awkward position that keeps happening by Drive. Secondary natural expansion for both players is developing at similar speeds. Bart Jones has 1 harvester, and so does Drive over here. There is the secondary refinery, probably followed by a secondary refinery for Bart Jones, probably here any moment. Yep, there it is. It is baking in the oven for the current moment. Drive buying his time, building up a force, probably looking for some sort of combination to get it working. And it looks like Drive's not going to allow his opponent to get this EMP control center up like Drive did to Bart Jones. It is going to go down here rather quickly. There it is. It's gone. It is taken out. And I think they're finally going to see, I think Drive is finally going to see that Tiberium spike has been claimed by his opponent. Ox Transport is here with a single rifleman squad in it for Bart Jones. Bart Jones trying to get a little bit of scouting, I guess, out on his opponent. I expected it to be an engineer, or I should say a combat engineer, but it was not the case whatsoever. Good chunk of Titans here for Drive with the 2 upgrades, with the adaptive armor and the railguns. What has Bart Jones transitioned into? Bart Jones has gone a little bit heavier on the Mammoth tanks. He did find really great purchases with that. Orca Scout moving its way in, dealing a bit of damage to the Harvester, but not enough to write home about. It was primarily there just for the Scout, as we see them use time and time again. Bart Jones's forces are in the north, poking and prodding, once again looking for some sort of hole in Drive's army. Will Drive's defense be lacking? I don't think it will be. Maybe. I did notice a little rift here. You probably can't climb this. You probably have to go around one way or another. Bart Jones might be able to pull something off sneaky on his opponent, letting his opponent just completely walk past all of his armor. There it is. Bart Jones sees his opponent's moving and decides to turn around there at the last minute, sort of exposing himself. Hopefully Drive is paying attention and seeing that those forces are coming his way. Hopefully he does have some sort of defense, because if not, Bart Jones is just about to walk into the secondary natural expansion of Drive, as Drive does the same thing over on his side of the map, just with a lot more forces. Titans are going to start taking shots, start taking out some of these harvesters, and I'm going to do it rather quickly. Drive, you need to move your way in, buddy. You need to start getting some kills, getting some gains in order to counteract the stuff for Bart Jones. He was waiting to concave, get his formation up a little bit better. Mammoth tanks are going to start getting focused down here in a moment. Good chunk of rocket squads are building their way up as Bart Jones continues his assault over in the north, and Drive continues his assault over on his opponent's north. Mana Tank does get taken down. Watchtower after Watchtower pops its way out. More Mana Tanks are popping their way out. Titans are beginning to fall left and right. The assault is continuing for Bart Jones on his opponent's base. His opponent has not been able to get what he needs, where he needs. Adaptive Armor saving that Mammoth Tank just barely in time. That Mammoth Tank just has the tiniest sliver of HP as this assault has been pushed back. Drive has a couple of more reinforcements here, hopefully able to get a couple of good shots off on these exposed Mammoth Tanks, but it's not going to matter. The formation is just too tight for the Mammoth Tanks. One does get taken down. Another Titan follows. Secondary Titan follows, and it looks like Drive is running out of gas in the tank, at least for this assault. He is not giving up. He's still killing unit after unit of Bart Jones. Bart Jones just having this amazing willpower to continue this defense over and over. No matter how far or how many losses he takes, he just keeps trying to bounce back. And speaking of bounce back, he's getting his gains in the north, attacking the infrastructure of Drive as Drive still continues. This is turning into a little bit of a base race when it comes to damage. Harvester gets taken down by Bart Jones, killing a little bit more of a lifeline of his opponent. Drive a little bit uncontested inside his opponent's base as Bart Jones is similar to him. Full load of blue Tiberium is going to go down for Drive. That's going to hurt. That is going to be his lifeline. Both players have just gone full mutually assured destruction, but I think the favorite is in Bart Jones. Bart Jones's assault and Bart Jones's offense are just too tight. He's just not able, Drive is not able to stop or commit to one assault or another. Bart Jones is proving to be the better player when it comes to all of this multitasking, when it comes to this micro, specifically this macro, with these assaults here and there. And now there is a crazy amount of Mana Tanks here on the front line. Drive sees them coming, and Drive throws in the towel, giving another match to Bart Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in, Commander. That's all we have for you today. I'll see you in the next one. Transmission